Hello,
Hello, hello.
how are you?
Very good, Habibi. You?
Good. I made sure I wrote that so anyone who ends up will understand what happened.
Still playing, huh?
Always, always, yeah. And just
Man, I miss it.
so, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. I've been doing this series and speaking to different people who work in the music industry, and of course, I was like, I have to speak to you as soon as I can. So yeah, first thing I want us to go is just give like a quick background about yourself and how you ended up getting into music and where you are today.
Cool. So I'm Elia Mssawir. I started music business professionally in 2008, leading 2020. But I used to just love because my brother used to do events, so I used to work with him at the very young age, at the age of like 13, 14. So I picked up from the family side this kind of love to music and love to business in general. I used to be a musician until I started going and touring with bands and seeing the background and behind the scenes people who actually run the show. And I fell in love with the whole concept of artist management and tour management. And yeah, everything led up to nowadays. Basically, I had a company in UK in 2013, Omerta, and then I moved to Abu Dhabi, and it's been 3 years now in Dubai officially. So in total, I've been in UAE for like 6 years, let's say. So and now I run my own company here, Big Beards Entertainment, who manages UAE based artists.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I wanted to go back to the very beginning. So when you say so, you were working with your brother who was doing events, and
yeah.
that was on one side, but on the other side, you had many jobs that you worked in, like
Oh yeah,
jobs that I went through your profile and I was like, wow, I was like, this guy has done so many different things. How
yeah.
how were you able to manage your time, first of all, and what was the turning point that made you just say, you know what, I'm gonna leave all the other stuff that I've been doing. You were doing graphic design, you were doing marketing, you were doing so many different things. Like, what was the for you that just made you just
Yeah. So having a Musawwir family name, you have to be a Musawwir. You have to be a photographer. It runs in the family from my grandfather, grandfathers. So I used to love photography a lot, and this is was pretty much a very serious thing for me at the time. And graphic design is something I picked up and studied. However, in 2010 is the turning point of my career. Even though I started working professionally in the music industry before that, but 2010 opened up a lot of doors for me. While I booked my first band in 2010, and flying to Czech Republic was my first destination ever outside the Middle East, and this is where it all started. Meeting legends, meeting managers who used to manage, or at the time used to manage like artists like Black Sabbath, like Steel Panther, and just sitting with these people. And I was so young, and sitting with these legends and hearing their stories on how they did this and that, it kind of flipped in my mind that I don't want to be a musician. I want to be that person who works in behind the scenes and get the job done for these artists. So I stayed in contact with most of these managers in 2010, and they kind of, I would like to say, mentored me in this. And yeah, from this point, I just wanted to be an artist manager, and yeah, that's how it went basically.
that's I always remember seeing photos of you with so many legends, and I was
Yeah.
crazy. And so at the beginning, was it always focus on heavy metal, rock music, and so on? That was a good chunk of your life, and I think you evolved
Yeah.
after including it, but not necessarily removing it.
Yeah.
What made you shift musically into working with, not necessarily listening to or anything, but just
Yeah.
different types of genres of artists?
Yes, I did start with metal bands, strictly metal bands, because I was a super metalhead and I used to organize a lot of metal gigs. Yeah, my first wave of artist management with bands was metal bands strictly. I was I loved the music. I loved, you know, being around metalheads and bands. But um, but yeah, after I think in 2012 or something like that, I started working. Actually, no, before that, I started working with other genres of artists like Snoop Dogg, and like I branched out a bit into hip hop, but I couldn't pick up, you know, the business side because it was super hard. You know, metal, I kind of mastered it at the time, but like entering another genre where it's like way more internationally known and like bigger, it was super hard. But yeah, I branched out officially in 2013, and I started going into EDM, into hip hop artists, into R&B and pop artists. Um, and slowly, I started as a listener changing my ears towards other genres and be more flexible. And after working with all genres of artists, I worked with, yeah, like I mentioned, Snoop Dogg, Tiny Tempa, Steve Angelo from Swedish House Mafia. So it, like all different genres, also Serge Tankian. So kind of opened up my eyes, and I started meeting other legends in other genres. And yeah, and you know, things picked up, and I wanted to again be one of these idols that I always wanted to be. And yeah, and now we're here in 2020. My roster of artists is from every genre basically, and I've never in my that's a funny thing in my life, I've never thought I would work with Arabic artists, but it is what it is. I love working with artists in general, whether, you know, Arabic or not.
Yeah, because that was something I noticed. So when I was going through your path, is that you're able to evolve, which is, I think, the key for anyone's success is to be able to start evolving and to change and to be open
Yeah.
to things. And so in that time, so you when did you leave Beirut to move to the UAE? And what also there was a trigger point for you to leave Beirut and move to the UAE?
Yeah. So before UAE, I was in London, and we were doing a fantastic job there. Um, However, a lot of obstacles came out, from taxes, from me and my business partners, from a lot of factors played at that time where I couldn't stay there, and also the cold weather. I couldn't do it. I came for a visit to Abu Dhabi for a friend's wedding, and on my table, we were all friends. On my table, there's somebody I didn't know, and he was like, "Hey, I have a company here in Abu Dhabi, but we're looking for a business developer. We are like studio events company." And I was like, "I'm interested to do it. Why not? You know." I came to Abu Dhabi. I started working for the company. We generated a famous kind of we generated like a very good reputation during that time. So it was end of 2013, mid 2014, basically, when I made my official move. um, I used to come here a lot for projects, but I never actually moved until 2014. And yeah, we did miracles through the company. Unfortunately, the company, not unfortunately, I decided to go out and just explore my own stuff. And I went back to Lebanon. I wanted to start something in Lebanon, related to what I do, basically, because you know, every Lebanese who leaves the country wants to go back and do something. Unfortunately, the country was not very helpful and no support whatsoever. I stayed there for 6 months, and then I was like, it's time for me to start a proper company, a proper hub for what I do. Dubai welcomed me in a very like open arms. To be honest, it was super easy. The process, uh, you know, getting in contact with new clients, old clients, people here that I used to be friends with in Abu Dhabi. They just helped me. It was a different vibe. The country is based on something that is like it's made to support new entrepreneurs, kind of thing. So until now, I don't find any challenge starting a business here in UAE, and it opened a lot of doors for me. one of the like things I'm proud of is working with brands I've never dreamed to work with, like YouTube, like Facebook, like Instagram, just so because we're doing it online, so mention that. But also, you know, the sports like Red Bull, like Adidas, like Puma. I've never dreamed in my life to work with these people, to be honest. And yeah, it opened lots of doors for me. So yeah.
So between, I mean, you obviously lived in Lebanon for some time. You lived in the UK. You did live in the US for a period of time as well. When you
Did work for US remotely. I didn't live there.
oh, you did work. Okay, then I understood that
Yeah, yeah.
you were working there. But okay, I'll make
Yeah.
sure. Between the Lebanese music scene, which you know very well, whether it's the metal scene, the rock scene, the indie scene, and the UAE scene at the moment, what have you seen in these past few years that make the big difference between both of them?
The biggest factor is musically, there's a lot of like, it's totally different. Like in Lebanon, watching the rise of indie music for the past 5 years, what like indie music would never work here. Like if you, that's one of the difference between here and there. So for a reason is that the crowd is not like in Lebanon, they really appreciate original music. They go to support local artists of whatever genre, indie, hip hop, whatever. Here, people are very selective because there's a lot of major festivals, a lot of events. So people are not like looking for a Saturday night live where they go and watch, I don't know, X band local here or something, unless it's a festival and they have a local artist. That one thing. Another thing, UAE is better in promoting artists rather than more than Lebanon, big time. Whether getting financial aid from brands, whether getting the support of the government, whether getting slots in terms of opening for international artists, it's on daily basis. In Lebanon, it's super hard. It's like you get 2 months of international artists, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to open to one of them. Getting financial support, I don't think it's even possible. But yeah, so that's quite a big difference between here and there. So it's a different market. So whoever comes from Lebanon and I sit with and be like, yeah, I want to implement this, and like, doesn't work here. This is not Lebanon. This is not like, you need to represent something that is unusual because they've seen it here. They've seen it many times. So
Do you find that there's similarities between not just Lebanon, the whole region as a Middle East, North Africa? Do you find similarities in the artists, the independent artists, between all regions? So what I'm thinking Egypt, I'm thinking Lebanon, I'm thinking Jordan, UAE. Do you find similarities between these artists that are independent?
there are some similarities, but in the end of the day, every artist from each country, they try to represent their own culture, which another market or another country cannot imitate. But when it comes to genres, like if Egypt produces hip hop and UAE produces hip hop, it's quite similar. It just the words, the you know, the lyrics kind of changes because of the accent. But in terms of melodies and the music and all that, and even stage performances, I think they all share the same mentality and the same way of delivering their arts. I see like people like countries like Morocco or Tunis. It's a bit different than anywhere in the Middle East, but it's not like major different. But it's different from a point of view where they get the support of the locals. So every artist there releases one track, you see 30 million, 50 million views. While in Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, all this, the struggle of an artist to get to 1 million, it's a hell of a job. It requires dedication for years and even decades. But yeah, Morocco, Tunis, definitely, like, this is a different market where they love local artists more than international artists, which is nice. I love it.
And what's your thought on artists from this region that are singing who are performing in English versus in Arabic. You see how the impact of that, because obviously on all big streaming platforms or in general, to hit the local market, you need to sing in the local language. That's how it worked. And that's why if you look at the independent artists from the Mashra Layla's days at the beginning, up until all of them, you know, whether it's Adonis, whether it's Yasmin Hamdan, using the Lebanese example, common point has always been that, you know, they sing in Arabic. So it does hit the diaspora, the Lebanese diaspora first, and then it trickles down here. I wanted to know what's your thought on that, and do you believe that artists can sing in English and succeed as musicians in the region?
If you ask me like a few years back, I would have said like probably 5 years ago, I would have said Arabic artists would not succeed abroad. And I would have said English artists would never succeed in the Middle East. But now we're in an era where the crossover of genres and languages and cultures is out of the window. So it's there. So I'm one of the people, for example, I manage Freak, a UAE-based artist. I was one of the people who actually was, at first, when I was his friend, before becoming his manager, I was one of the people who I was against. I always told him, branch out to English, let's go abroad. And he proved me wrong, and he proved a lot of people wrong, and he stuck to his guns. And now he is one of the biggest in UAE, if not the biggest. At the time when Mashra Layla came out, before they boomed, I was like, man, Arabic, okay, it's an amazing band, but I mean, more than the Middle East, they're not going to reach anywhere. Because the module of the music industry was not helpful abroad for Arabic singers. But now I think there's no issue whatsoever. I think Drake released a track yesterday singing in Arabic. So, so you know what I mean? So it changed a lot. And definitely, I see Arabic artists and going international, and we saw it through, you know, whether Mishra Layla, Freak, and other upcoming artists. And English artists now, like I don't see fame in the Middle East, to be honest. I see support, but I like bands like what the Mountain Bishops and Who Killed Bruce Lee. Let's go to Lebanon a bit. They made a very good fan base in Lebanon, obviously. But if you go to the masses and ask them about a catchy song or a song they know for them, nobody can answer you. Like it's like they have their following where it's probably 200 diehard fans, and the rest are just, you know, hey, I'll go to this concert, I'll watch them. But none of them actually diehard fans, like, you know, the Arabic artists. So
I think also, I mean, they had both bands had a real like peak in 2014-15 where, you know,
yeah,
were investing in them, they were traveling, they were touring, the labels started.
sure.
And then, as you said, there's been kind of a switch where all that stuff has gone out the window of the language barriers. And I've always been interested because I know that Nader, for instance, from Wanton Bishops, has his projects on his own where he does stuff in Arabic, you know. So
Oh, okay.
which is very interesting because you can see that he does that on his own. And I know that Wasim from Who Killed Bruce Lee also does stuff in Arabic. So I know that they've been able to adjust and to try new stuff, you know. So I don't know what's going to happen in the long run, but I know that they must have seen what we see, which is I'm like you, I think there's no more rules. I don't believe there are any rules. I do think that if you look at overall the past decade of success with artists, except for that little boom that happened in Beirut for a few years, the rest all it has to be in the local language. There are some bands who do prove a point by touring, by doing stuff, but then it depends on their objective, you know. So
I'll give you an example. Like Freak released a track called Shueya, which is an Afrobeat / Latin. It was weird kind of thing. When we were promoting it, we were promoting it towards the hip hop community. But shockingly, like I remember creators from Spotify contacted us to put it in like African related playlists. and we were like, we never thought, you know, Africa would be interested in Arabic, you know. And this is where the market picked it up from there, in Africa and in Latin America. And we started receiving messages and emails in Spanish and African, and like, whoa, like it was so weird. So that's, we never thought we could branch out towards this market, because again, you think small when you're Arab in an Arab country. But now, nah, every track we release, we go into like everywhere. So
Yeah, and so other than Freak, who are the artists you manage and have managed?
yeah,
And how's that been going?
I have managed, wow, a lot, a lot, but
Ones that you feel like you're really proud of?
um, in the metal, when I first started, I'm really proud of two bands, Chimera and Aneurysm. I think they did what every metal band, or they reached a place where every metal band could reach. Currently, I manage Freak from UAE. I manage Tina Yamut, who's a Lebanese artist who moved recently here to UAE. And I manage a hip hop group called The Recipe here. All major players here in the country. I have two new signings, but I cannot reveal it now, but they will hopefully soon be revealed. Previously as well, I used to manage here a band called Carl and Reda Mafia. Was one of the biggest bands. I don't know if they're still active, but yeah, these are like my proud artist list. I've been involved or did some consultancy for a few artists here and there, but yeah, it's this is what.
I was having a discussion with an artist manager who's from Poland. She was one of the guests on this show, and we were talking about like what it entails to manage an artist. And one of the things that I believe, and I would like to know your opinion because everyone has a different opinion on this, is when an artist is at a starting point, meaning they don't have an EP or they just have a few songs or whatever. I think having a manager is a luxury, meaning it's something you can't afford to have, yet you have it. And in general, it's always a friend and it's always someone you know, and maybe they love you and then whatever. And then at some point, after you've reached 1 year or 2 years working with this person and or this band, and the fees are, you know, there's still little fees and you're really hustling as a manager and you're taking that 20%, which ends up being nothing. I always think there's a point where it's just gonna destroy. And I want to know if you agree with artist managers being a necessity or being a luxury, and when does it become a necessity in your opinion?
You actually asked me in the right timing, because it's a decision I took when I started Big Beers Entertainment, is that I never work with artists that are not already developed. Being in the industry for 10 years now, I started with a lot of artists from the zero, the ones that didn't have a song, the ones that didn't have EP, the ones that didn't have an album. And the amount of work that I put in, and also the money like I put in rather than getting the money from them, was not worth it, to be honest. And I took a decision when I started Big Beers never to work with an artist that's not developed. An artist manager is a necessity. And an artist manager should only come when the artist is already establishing to a point, getting regular gigs, getting the hype of from the brands, getting being interested by a label, you know, all this. Like, you cannot work anymore with artists that are just starting. It's not first of all, it's not good for you. As an artist manager who is successful in his job, starting from zero with a zero capital on an artist, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm totally against it, to be honest. But people, they don't understand. Some artists, they don't understand what is an artist manager. Like, I still get these questions of, can you book us a tour? You know, before asking me, can I get a record deal? Can I get brand recognition? Can I get this and that. So they remove the whole artist manager role and just put it in a booking agent, which is something I really hate. But yeah, you need to develop your image. You need to look at the moment in this now time. Being an artist is like a company. When you want to start a company, you need to invest in it. You need to invest in it. You need to be the CEO of your company. You need to ask people to do your social media, maybe friends, families, whatever. You need to do. Yeah, you cannot run a company by yourself, obviously. But when you reach a point where it's a triangle, then this is where the artist manager comes in. When it's triangle, it's you, the producer or the studio, and then the artist manager, who was your third ear, will come in and enhance things for you. But yeah, like I've seen artists who just, hey, I have one song, can you manage me? I get this almost every week, every now week or not, or once a month, like artists who barely don't have anything, but they played cover gigs. Be like, I'm looking for a manager. What am I supposed to manage?
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing to manage. You know what I mean? You're already doing cover gigs, so I cannot manage. You want me to financially manage your income? Then hire an accountant, basically.
Because my belief is that artists today, they have a 360-degree thing, so they have to be able to, they should learn their social media. They
Of course,
super important for artists to do their own social
yeah.
build
And also, I'll give you an example that one of the artists that I was working with here in UAE, we've been working for almost 5 years. I give them everything. Signed deal with Universal, playing opening act for at least 3-4 internet way like class A artists, giving them tour abroad, couple of tours, whatever you name it, everything that the band needs to be international. We did this. I reached a point after 5 years I cannot give them anything because they stopped producing music, and I stopped believing that they will reach anywhere. Khalas, they reach a point where it's done for me at least. And this is we dropped the relationship and everybody went home. And as I saw it from far, man, because it's my job, and now the band is not doing anything. They're sitting home basically. So
happens with many bands, unfortunately, because it's if two people mentioned something similar to you that I've hosted here, and it's basically at some point when the manager cares more about the project than the band members themselves, then
yeah,
it's a dead end. Like there's
yeah.
no.
Also, so people would not get me wrong. This band was generating for me thousands of dollars per month from their cover gigs, which because I stopped believing in the project. I don't want money from cover gigs. I want to work on I have my company for this. You know what I mean? But when I work with an artist, I want to believe in it. The motivation gone. I don't want to work with cover artists. So yeah, it's not about money. Like some people told me like, oh, maybe you're not making. Well, dude, I think this is the most I've ever got paid from a band or from an artist was from that act. But yeah,
It's not about. I'm like you in the sense that I don't like working with cover artists. I have nothing against them. Like
yeah, of course, yeah, of
but as long as they're not producing their own music on the side, then
course.
no problem. So for me,
Man, the big, yeah, you understand. Like I tell everybody that Anthony is probably like me and Anthony, and probably there's another two in the Middle East that actually take artist management super serious, and they don't understand that seriously. If you're not motivated towards a band, you're nothing's gonna come out of it. Not from your side, not from their side. And again, going back to a CEO is always replaced.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say, given the context of today, well, I don't want to say we're in. I don't know what we can consider today with the pandemic, or I don't know what's happening everywhere in the world is different. In Lebanon, events are happening. Some places, some towns are shut down. Others are open. In the UK, it's the same. In Dubai, I don't know. It's such a mess. What would you say? What would you give as advice to artists in the current situation that things that they should definitely be doing that they might not be doing today, that they don't realize they're not doing, in your opinion?
In my opinion, even though you have a manager, let's say, go and study music marketing. That's one of the things. Go and study different domains. For me, on a personal level, I studied during this pandemic about stock trading, about gaming world, the esports, and I started giving this to my artists, and they're all doing it. And they're all kind of generating money here and there, away from music.
Yeah.
So since you cannot do anything and you're not, or you are actually creating music and content for your art, it's not just, this is not enough in this kind of time. We had 5 months and it's going into the 6th month. Branch out towards other domains that could help your career. Stock trading, esports, gaming. Like me and Freak, we're on a daily game, Call of Duty every day. And you know, he's going into the streaming world where you still get the support of your fans financially. That's one of the things. So trying to get money from somewhere else and put it in your art it should be your priority. That's one of the things. Another thing, basically go do sports, man. That's the best thing you could do to enhance your brains, to be honest, and be creative. I always, when I go on my bicycle or I go play football and come back, oh my God, I have shit tons of ideas. I want to put it in my artist, and well, 80% would work, but you know, on the excitement, but still it's good. So yeah, biggest advice, just go and get new skills into your life that you can go learn how to code, man, and create your own website.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's good for artists, as we were saying, to be, 360. Like, you can't just depend on releasing music. And
No.
what do you think about everything related to content creation and artists being present on social media and things like that? What's your thought on how they should be doing this?
Funny thing you asked me this, because I just, before we got into this conversation, I had a meeting here in my house with a friend of mine and one of my artists as well, that we need to create a new project for artists to start doing content creation. And definitely, man, we're in an era where visuals are bigger than audio, at least now in the pandemic, because people are sitting on their computers or on their phones. They want to visually see people and nice. Okay, so yeah, content creation is a key now. It's a big factor. It's a big help for artists to promote themselves, to market themselves. If you don't know how to do it, ask friend. I'm sure somebody was going to help you, because at the end of the day, they know you're not going to be making money from music, so they're going to help you eventually. So, but yeah, content creation is everything, man. You at the moment, it's not just in the music; it's also in, you know, brands and agencies and events everywhere. So it's one of the points in the triangle of an artist where you need to do this. It's an essential thing. And now, since we're all the artists are just releasing singles, not albums. If you release a single, you have to have visuals. You have to have content around it, or else this single is not going to reach anywhere. As simple as it is. You need to have a video. And people tell me, but I'm not a videographer. I'm not blah, 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 all this and that. If you have your phone, you can create the best visuals you'll ever. You don't need money, to be honest. But people are lazy to learn these things. They're just counting on other people to do their jobs, which is a shame. But yeah.
It's always an excuse for those who don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
So, one last question before we cut off. I know that you're a big gamer.
Oh yeah.
Full on for this. And I want to see how you can see the world of music and gaming combine into something that's really fruitful. I know some artists have done concerts on Twitch and things like that. I want to see what's your opinion on the world of gaming?
So recently, during the pandemic, I noticed two things. Actually, one thing, but it goes into two. Music is being introduced heavily. The original music is being introduced heavily in two industries: the fashion industry and the gaming industry. So the fashion industry, we did the song for a fashion brand here in UK with Freak, which, you know, usually they take international artists, but they decided, let's go for a Middle Eastern artist who can deliver the message. The second one is the gaming. Oh my God, man! The gaming now, it's all about music. Even whatever game you're gonna work or play or whatever show, it has to have music. And I think one of the games that actually, two games that actually stuck in people's minds, the music, was the GTA, the first one, and the Red Alert games. I think from these two, people just got hooked to such a music. So now we receive a lot of inquiries for my artist. Hey, we're having this game, or we're launching this game. We want you to create the music. Before it used to be, yeah, call somebody in UK in the studio and they will create it for you. But now it's about promotion and promoting your game. So you have to have an artist in the market you want to target, that this artist needs to do this music. So I'm witnessing a lot of requests for our artists to actually go and make new songs for this specific brand that is doing a game, or launching a game or something like that. So yeah, it's probably one of the 25% important factors in the esports and fashion nowadays. So yeah.
Especially with esports, I think that's the next big thing.
Yeah, look, also, if you like, I watch tournaments every day for esports, whether League of Legends, Call of Duty, Fortnite, which I hate, but still I watch it. It's fun. They all have like hosts or people to talk to from the music industry. Like I've seen like DJs comment, like playing Fortnite and going as a host on a tournament, international tournament. And also like Fortnite, why I watch it, because they implemented the concert thing where they brought Marshmello to play live in the game, and they brought recently, I think, Travis Scott to play a live show in the game, and I think they got over 5 million people to watch that. So they know what's happening. They know that the biggest industry in the world is music nowadays. So yeah.
Well, that was it was a pleasure speaking to you, Elia, as
Same
usual.
here, Habibi.
I hope we'll see you very soon, either in Beirut or in Dubai or wherever.
Definitely, man. We're waiting for you here. Come on.
I'll definitely be coming over, hopefully very soon. So
Awesome.
thanks a lot, man. Thank you for your time, and
Thank
yalla,
you for having me. Really.
let's keep in touch.
Definitely. Yalla. See you. Take care, bro. Cheers.